Hello, welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Paxson, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside. Paul, Happy New Year. Hope you've had a good one. Talk us through it.
Oh, thanks. Happy New Year, guys. It's been good. I had a bit of time off work for Christmas and whatever for the first time in 18 years. So it was nice to see the kids and have Boxing Day off and things like that. And yeah, it's good. Enjoying my job and that job's going well. And yeah, doing good really, mate. Not been up to much really. Just chilling out and waiting for the rugby season to start. Really walking my dog and that. Got a dog in it last year, so he takes a bit of. Looking after, he's a bloody lunatic, but no. Other than that, I'm enjoying my family time and that, mate. And no, I had a good New Year and a good Christmas.
Cool. We've also got Paul Parkin. Happy New Year, Parky. Did you have a good one?
Happy New Year, gentlemen. Yes, yeah, the great sort of festive period. Really, a really good one this year. I think after the year before, we're all in lockdown, weren't we? We didn't see anyone. It was nice. I got to see all the family and. Yeah, it was actually probably one of the best ones I've had in a long time, to be honest. And no alcohol. So I don't know why. Maybe it was the fact that I can remember it all.
Yeah,
that's got me through it. But yeah, no, it was great. It was really good. And I got spoiled and I can't complain. And like Paul said, it's, the season's upon us now. It's just all falling into place.
Yeah, just want to wish our listeners a Happy New Year as well. And just say big thanks for all last year listening, tuning in. We had nearly 100,000 downloads / streams, Paul, last year, which was immense. Really, I can't thank them enough for tuning in, listening to us.
No, it's it's quite mind blowing that really when you think about that. So yeah, like you say, it's great that people listen and take part and things like that. And I think you put like a map on, didn't you, the other week, saying like where people were listening from. And I showed it to Ellen and I was saying to her, "Have you seen this? It's a mad, really, isn't it, where people tune in from." So yeah, it's all good, all good.
Yeah, so there's loads to go on this week. We'll have a look at all the big news, and then we're going to preview the match against Swinton on Saturday. So what we'll do, we'll start off with all the news, what's going on last couple of weeks. So we'll start with the big news this week. Elijah Taylor is Bury Broncos' new head coach, Parker. He'll bring a lot of experience to the role.
Very much so. We didn't get to see the best or enough of Elijah last year. He's a really clever player. So as a coach, I can see him. Obviously, been installed as skipper, hasn't he? I think of the actual first team. So doing this little bit of extra work on the side, I think he'll do an excellent job and a little bit more prestige to Bury as well. To have somebody like him, a Kiwi international attached to the club. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see that the lads are involved in the community again. It used to happen probably 20, 30 years ago, a lot more than recent times. But no, obviously last year we mentioned it a few times, the players going around to various clubs or being associated with them clubs. And now Elijah being at Bury, that's fantastic. I could see, I think for me, when you look at certain players and you can see what kind of future they've got, and I think for me, Elijah Taylor will probably go into coaching. He seems to have that presence and that he's obviously got knowledge of the game. And hopefully he can pass it on to the Broncos and get more people down there, training and seeing the methods and that kind of thing. And hopefully a few more of our players can go on that way. I know a lot of them, the lads from, Wigan or Leigh or wherever, have probably got attachments to their own clubs. But certainly our overseas players and those that will be here maybe a little bit long term, getting down to some of the other clubs. But it's good, and it's good for Elijah to keep him in the, keep him active, because I'm sure it must be a struggle for a lot of these overseas guys coming over here, and especially in COVID times where you can't do an awful lot a lot of the time, or you're afraid to, especially as a pro player. You don't want to pick up anything. So now he's out, he's out and about, and he'll keep it. Certainly in the winter, it'll harden him up. He'll get used to that. But no, brilliant, great for all parties, and it's good to see that the club captain is involved with local community.
Yeah, community is everything in this club, Paul, and signs like this shows that we're going in a really good direction on that front.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good to see Bury Broncos doing well. I mean, when you think about Bury, it's a sort of eastern side of Lancashire, isn't it, really? There's not a great deal of rugby league that happens in that area. Quite an untapped sort of place, really. And if Salford can get good links with Bury, which they have done over the last sort of decade or so, I think now, haven't they? It's good to see. And someone like Elijah Taylor going over there, that's a real coup for them, really. And like Parky said, I've spoken to him a couple of times, and he's a very, very sort of honourable sort of character, really, Elijah Taylor. Very, very well spoken, knows about the game, and a nice guy as well. And like we say, we just want to keep him fit this season. Now he had problems last year, didn't he? I think he had COVID, lost a load of weight and stuff like that. So if we can see the best of him, he's going to be a real top-notch player for us. Well, but delighted for him to move to Bury Broncos and help out there. And let's hope it just forges that bond with us and Bury, and we can see some more players coming through there, because I think he'll be a real asset to them.
Yeah, and obviously we'll be covering all our amateur clubs through the season. Paul, there's some great clubs in the area that produce some great talent, and we'll be talking all about that this year.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back doing the amateur reports, and that I've been keeping a close eye on the Challenge Cup. I know that's been kicking off, hasn't it? Or in the next week or two, the first 2 rounds have been drawn for that. So hopefully, I'll have a bit of news for you on that coming next weekend. So yeah, looking forward to doing it and covering all the teams again. It should be good.
Yeah. Other news, Parky, obviously with Christmas gone, people have money burning in their pockets because Santa brought them a lot of money. If you want to spend a bit of that money and you buy some gear online from VX3, if you spend over £50, Parky, you get a free Bobby hat, which will keep your head warm in the cold January, February nights.
Yeah, them hats as well. They're really smart. I know a lot of people have already bought them. Just going slightly off topic there. And I thought at Christmas, somebody within the family or whatever will definitely get me one of them hats, and nobody did. But it's my birthday next week, so anyone who's listening or watching right now, feel free to pick me one up. No, yeah, get on that. There's some of the gear they've brought out is superb. The range already, and hopefully they can expand that once they get into the season and start selling more. They've got some really, really good stuff on there. Them bucket hats are good, and they'll look smart. Hopefully, if we get a summer, they've got vests on there, and also it's nice to see. It's good, to have a range, and it's not that dear. And when you think of £50, by the way, I mean, you think at first, well, it's a little bit, it's January or whatever, but when you think about it, I mean, a shirt will cost you what, 40, 45 quid.
That's it.
You just pick up something else and you get a free. I think it's a great deal. I spotted it the other day, and I did mention it with it, like say with my birthday. I did sort of drop a hint that offer was on. Whether anything will come of it, I don't know. But it's good. I think, like I say, because of the range they've got, you could easily do that. That's not a problem. But I know a lot of people rushed out straight away, didn't they? Went and bought all the gear, and now they'll be waiting for the next lot. But yeah, no, it's a good offer.
We'll soon find out next week, Parky, when 48 Bobby hats turn up at your house from our listeners donating them to you.
Yeah.
But it's important, isn't it, Paul? Obviously, merchandise for a club raises funds. So obviously, get behind the club and purchase what you can.
Yeah, too right. Yeah, I like what you said about the bucket hats. I fancy one of them. They look pretty cool, them, don't they? But yeah, and the away shirt I think looks spot on this time as well. That looks pretty good. So there's plenty of merchandise there to get tucked into. But where's all this money coming from, though, Rob? That you seem to have. I don't think I've got much left after Christmas, and that January is normally a pretty desperate time for me, really. But no, I think that there's plenty of gear, and like you said, it's important to the club along with season tickets. It's a lifeblood of the club, really, isn't it? It keeps it going. So we want to sign these big name players that we are doing at the moment. You've got to pay for them, haven't you? So merchandise, season tickets, things like that is a good help.
Yeah, season tickets are still available at Parky. Direct debit, 6-month job. Gives fans options whether they want to pay it in full or pay it in instalments. Gives very good scope for fans to get involved.
Yeah, very much. And again, this year, I know obviously the more into the season we get into January now, and you got the 6 months, the price goes up because of, just sort of pro rata sort of thing. But I think when they came out, the deal was you can't knock the price. You can't, for what you get. It's, even if you were just, there was no offer, nothing attached to a season ticket, just your entry to a match every week. It's a fantastic deal. But obviously, we had the Magic Weekend offer, the Grand Final offer, things like that, and then anything else that goes with it throughout the season, and any players' awards and anything like that, whatever comes. It's so cheap, really. I mean, it's not, it's not everybody's in the same boat, and you can't, I'm not suggesting that everybody's got to spare 200-300 quid to start whopping about. But when you look at it, if you go into it again, I don't understand why people wouldn't get one. It seems odd, but the other thing that obviously will affect it is there's COVID concerns at the moment, which might have held a few people back, but it looks like we're getting through that, and doesn't look like we're going to hopefully get too much restriction and open. Scotland, they're going the other way again now, aren't they, and letting people back into grounds. So hopefully people will go, I think we're safe. I've got the money. I'll go and buy one now.
Well, I don't think there's that much concern. Obviously, Premier League football's still going in it, Paul. So, you're watching that. You're seeing that, obviously, the stands are full. Rates are very, very high. But, people are passing away aren't as high as the rates are, if that makes sense. So people probably aren't as worried. So maybe as long as they're vaccinated up and they've had the booster, and they look after themselves, they should be safe.
Yeah, well, I'm not one who worries, really. I mean, I go work every day, so I could catch you at work and snuff it at work, couldn't I? So yeah, I think you'd be all right. You're outside, aren't you? You're breathing the fresh air and that. So yeah, like you say, it seems to be dying down a bit now and things like that. So hopefully things are going to get better, surely to God. So, but yeah, like Parker said, I can understand if people have been a bit wary about buying season tickets, because the 2020 and the 2021 season, particularly the 2020 season. How many games did you get to see, as a season ticket holder? You hardly went to any. I think the country got locked down after the Wigan game, wasn't it? And that was it then. There was no other matches. So you can see people being a bit wary there and what have you. But just going back to what you said before, the value for money, season ticket and the Magic Weekend ticket. You think about a Magic Weekend ticket, I don't know what you pay for them now on average, but about 4 games, you're getting like a festival of rugby league for the day, which is great. And I've always thought that the Grand Final tickets, Challenge Cup Final tickets, you name it, they're very, very good value for money. When you compare it to other sports, some other sports, the prices are through the roof, aren't they? So, I wouldn't like to know how much a season ticket for Sale Sharks is, but I bet it's an awful lot more money than what a Salford one is. So, and I mean, our game's a miles better game than theirs. So it's yeah, I think it's great value for money, but I don't know what the answer is if we've not. I don't know how many we've sold. I don't know where we're up to with that, but let's hope we can shift a few more.
Yeah, but obviously regarding the COVID situation, Parky, there is talk of clubs, if they do forfeit because they've got not players who do have COVID and can't play, being hit with a 48-0 defeat, and they're not doing percentage tables either, which is a bit of a situation really, because obviously if games do get called off, getting hammered 48-0 is going to, a couple of times over 3 or 4 weeks, it might make the table look a bit different.
Far be it from me to criticise Super League or the RFL. I only do it every time I'm on the podcast.
Yeah.
Another ridiculous idea for me. Firstly, if someone in your own home gets COVID, you've got to stay at home. You've got to isolate as well. The chances of it actually, being transmitted through a rugby league club, it's virtually unavoidable. Like football now. I mean, Liverpool, one of the the biggest football clubs in the world, and Manchester United recently have had games called off because they could. How is a small club with just 26 spare players, like Salford or whatever it is, or 28 players, going to survive if there's an outbreak? You can't. I don't understand where they bring these rules in from. We haven't got players we can just draft into fill games. So you're going to get beat 48-0 for something that's not. It isn't your fault. You can be triple jabbed. You can have your booster and still get it. I don't know quite what they know that the government or anybody else doesn't know. I think I think it's a very bizarre situation, the 48-0 thing. I understand they don't want games called off. It does create problems, backlogs and so on. And if they're not going down the percentage route, at the end of the season, if you've got one team that's played 26 games and one that's played, 17, it's ridiculous. But as long as it's all proven, I think they're just running a risk of making people cut corners, maybe, and that's a big worry. I don't think they needed to do it. I really don't. They'll have their own reasons, which will go way above my head, and that won't surprise anybody. But I just think, 48-0 as well. What was wrong with 24-0 as last year? Why does it have to be doubled for something that you can't really control? You can, like Paul said, he can go to work tomorrow, in somebody's house and not. He can just be there. He's not gone there to do that. It's like, but he's going to be off work, and the people who he works for, the work's not going to get done. But he didn't mean it. Same with, Salford player's gone home. His little kids come home from nursery or whatever. She passes it on. He gets it. He goes into training the next day before, these tests aren't always right.
No.
And it spreads through the cat. I don't understand what they want from people. Very, very, very strange. I understand that there's got to be something around it, but I don't know. And it's not like football where these clubs have 40 odd players.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Super League can't do that. And I think if it happens to a couple of the big boys a couple of times, I think there might be they might look at the rules again.
Change it.
It won't matter to Salford and Wakefield and perhaps KR and teams like that, but certainly starts happening to Leeds, Wigan, Saints, Warrington. You might see a bit of a change in the rules.
The rumour has it, Paul, you send your customers outside because you have that much presence. You can tell them while you're fixing the boilers. That's what I've heard anyway. But
so?
Obviously, with reserves and the sort of the academy set up, there is players available, and with the World Cup just around the corner, Paul, maybe they don't have the availability for weekends to slip these games in that they're going to miss. So to make it a 48-0 defeat, it stops teams possibly gaming the situation. And I think it's very harsh. And I do agree with Parky. I do think that they might see a change in that in a few weeks after it's rolled out.
It's just another one in a long line of stupid ideas that the governing people have come up with over the years. And you just scratch your head sometimes and think who's running the show? Is it Noddy and his merry men? But I just don't get it, because at the end of the day, you could have a squad as big as anything, but you can be triple jabbed, you can be whatever, and you could test positive for that, but not even be poorly. So all the players might be fine, but we tested positive because we've contracted this. So you're talking about like medical science and all that. And what does the rugby league know about that? It just seems balmy to me, absolutely crazy. And 48-0, I can understand. They don't want games postponed. You got the World Cup coming, but it's a global bloody pandemic, isn't it? So it's not gone away. It affects other people. I'll be honest with you, I don't worry about it whatsoever. I just carry on and live my life best I can. But it's still there, and you've still got to live by these rules and what have you. So the rugby league are sort of saying, well, don't get it then. But there's a fair chance that you might get it. So I read that story and I was a bit baffled by it, to be honest. But we've just got to hope for the best, haven't we? With the squad that we've got, let's just hope, fingers crossed, that we can get through our matches. Because if you don't, you get, like you said, if you get a couple of them 48-0s against you towards the back end of the season, and you're right down there near the bottom, you could wind up getting relegated. So I wouldn't like something like that to happen, because you can imagine that, a side going down because the last 2 games have been postponed because of COVID. You can imagine the arguments there and the infighting within the sport. So the rugby league really are opening a bit of wouldn't say opening a can of worms just yet, but there could be a bit of a knife edge there. You can see something developing there, throughout the season. Let's hope not, though. Let's hope it goes smoothly.
Yeah. Talking about the end of the season, Paul, World Cup in France 2025. The president of France had a press conference about it, I think today, telling us where they were going to play in France and all that. And it's very exciting, obviously, with rugby league. want it to be a global sport opportunity for France and the public of France to get behind it, with Catalan and Toulouse in the Super League as well. Hopefully, it'll boost the participation both on and off the field.
Yeah, do you think COVID will still be here then? We depend
Well-
on that going, aren't we, really? I mean, it's like this season, I'm still a bit doubtful about this season, whether the Australians and New Zealand, I really hope so. I really hope something happens. But at the moment, it's still all up in the air, isn't it, with everything? So you would hope by a few years' time that would go ahead, because it'd be great for France. Like you say now with Catalans and Toulouse, I'm really hoping Toulouse do well this season. I think they're going to be a really tough side to beat, especially in France. They made some good signings. They've got a good squad. That's going to be great when Catalans play Toulouse. What an atmosphere you're going to have there in Perpignan and back in Toulouse as well. So, yeah, French Rugby League is, there's an awful lot of history involved there, with Salford as well, about where our nickname comes from. So, yeah, they've got a great history in the sport. So I think it's going to be great to have the World Cup over there. I'd love to go over there and watch some games. I've had the pleasure to go to Perpignan, and I've spent a bit of time in Carcassonne as well over the years and visited those places. And they're great. They love rugby league, don't they? So really looking forward to that. It's different. It's different to having it in England, having it in Australia. I think France will do a great job. And like we said, let's just hope that logistically we can get everybody over there. Supporters can go as well and enjoy it, because I think it'd be great.
Yeah, talking about Toulouse, their first season in Super League Parquet. Do you think that they should have kind of a relegation exemption for the next 3 years? Remember Catalan all them years ago when they first started, they had, I think, was it 3 years or 5 years where they couldn't go down? And look at them now, grand final runners up. Do Toulouse need that safety net to allow them to grow both on and off the field?
Well, two things. First of all, I'm delighted the World Cup's going to France.
Yeah.
They want it in England again. You don't want it in Australia again. You just, preaching to converted. France has suffered for years, going back to, the Nazis, basically. Going back to the Vichy government of the 40s, tried to ban the sport. They fought through everything. And now it's great to see French Rugby League on the up. And hopefully in the next, 3-4 years, they can develop more players now, because that interest will be there. That they've got the World Cup and they want to be competitive. There's no point in them turning up and getting rolled. You know what I mean? So hopefully more players, more participation. I think there was mention of perhaps another team in France. I think it was Nice or somewhere like that, which again, beautiful place. We probably like the opposite of England. We want to spread it. They want to spread it north again. We want to spread it south, but it'll help. And I mean, the French president mentioned it. I mean, that's something else, isn't it? On Toulouse, no, in a word, I don't think any team deserves any exemptions. The rules when you apply or when you get promoted. You knew what they were. Toulouse haven't been formed and put straight in there like Catalan were. Toulouse have developed over a longer period and they're now an established team. If Featherstone had come up with and said, you can have 3 years, no, it wouldn't have happened. And I think you made your bed. It's your, the same when Toronto came in and everyone was, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. These are the rules of the game. If you finish at the bottom, you get relegated. That they knew that before they started last season's campaign to get promoted to this, to this level. I understand what you're saying, and I do. I hope it works. I'm slightly suspect about their squad for next year. I'll be honest. I think it's a lot of older, senior players that may not have that extra Super League year in them. But who knows? I hope for the sake of French Rugby League, they do well, but not at our expense. But I think, going back on what I was saying about France, we need a strong France. We need it to develop well, but I don't think giving teams exemptions works. I don't think it's fair on anybody else. Like Paul, what we were saying a minute ago about COVID. What if they don't get struck by it because they're in France and certain other, restrictions, and we do. We end up losing 3 games, 48-0, and they get to stay up, even though, you can't have it like that. The rules are the rules. They knew what they were when they wanted to get promoted. They've been promoted. Now it's theirs to stand on their own 2 feet as an individual Super League club like all the rest of us. And they've probably got a bigger budget than many of us in that league as well. It's their job now to stay there. I hope they do, but I hope it's not like I say, at our expense.
Yeah, looking at a quick Google there, Paul, and the first season in Super League they finished 12th. The second season they finished 10th, and then the third season they finished third, and they sort of bounced around for a bit. But if they didn't go down that first year, Paul, then obviously it gave them opportunity to build, and they got better and better. So if Toulouse, because Toulouse aren't going to get that benefit, if they finish bottom, they're gone. And does that put a bit of a hammer blow to the French project with the World Cup coming?
You say the same thing about Lee, though, couldn't you? Lee have been up a couple of times and finished bottom. They were never given immunity from relegation, were they? So it's like Parky said. I mean, sometimes rugby league, it frustrates me because we make these stupid things. Like last season, we had that percentage thing, and they're just laughable rules. And I think sometimes it's hard for people who are not like committed to the sport to take it seriously. You know, the press, people down south, it's like rugby league again. They've come up with some fast rule again, and we let ourselves down. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Toulouse, like you said, they've not just been parachuted. They're not like a Toronto or a Catalan. They're an established rugby league club that's been going for an awful long time now. They've been doing well in that championship, and they blitzed everybody last season. So I mean, if Featherstone had come up, if Lee had come up, it'd have been the same for them. They'd have been straight down. So I think, like Parky said, I sort of do agree. I've looked at their squad, and there is one or two names in there that, yeah, perhaps they are getting on a bit. But you would like to think they're going to be tough to beat over there. They're going to make that a fortress. I think it's all about the start for them if they can get off to a decent start. And I think there's one or two clubs for me in the Super League that people are saying, oh, they're going to be great again this season. I'm not going to name them. You can guess. And I think those teams aren't going to be as good as what they were last season. So I think we're going to do okay. I'm not worried about us. I'm not sort of thinking, oh, I hope Toronto finish below us because we're going to finish second bottom. I think for us, we've got to look higher than that anyway. We've got to aim as high as we can. But no, we'll have to just see how it works out. I think, you know, you can't give teams unfair advantage. You've got 12 teams in a league. Those 12 teams should play to the same rules. I think, you know, if you had that in football, can you imagine the outcry in the Premier League? 3 teams come up and one of them, well, that one's from, I don't know, Wales or whatever. Cardiff City come up. Well, they're from Wales. We're going to give them immunity. They just won't have it. Supporters won't have it. Would there be outcry? So let's do things on a level playing field and do it fairly.
Yeah, looking at it, they've kind of went in the British League, went out of the British League, and then back in the British League. So I suppose they gave themselves kind of a learning curve there. Now they're in Super League. It's the biggest learning curve of all, really, now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens really this season, because obviously everyone will have the, you know, them down as finishing bottom. But you know, the first season, all the excitement in France, you know, you're just hoping that, you know, other teams are switch on and don't get caught out, Parker.
I think that could happen. I really do. I think that's their big threat. They're, you know, playing at home. They'll find it difficult travelling away, like Catalan do, every other week, or, you know, sometimes you get 2 away games on the bounce and that kind of thing. It's very, very difficult, and that'll be their issue. But I think they're playing at home. You know, especially in the middle of summer. You know how hot it can get down there. It will affect teams who might, like us, who've travelled over on the day or whatever. That's tough. That's really tough to do. And I think, yeah, like Paul said, that Catalan Toulouse game will be, that'd be superb. You know, that'd be one to. It'd be lovely to be there, wouldn't it? You know, with the atmosphere and, you know, in a nice climate and that kind of thing. That's the glamour of Super League that we really want. But, you know, we can't bend over for everybody. But I think they'll surprise a few. I really do. I'm not going to write them off at all. You know, not like last year. We said at the start of the year, Lee will probably get relegated because he looked at the squad and that was it. I think the other thing is for Toulouse, I think they've probably got scope to bring players in, and that's another, you know, another key for them, perhaps financially or you know, whatever else. And if you're a you know, an Australian or a Kiwi or whatever, and you're out of form, or your team down under have decided that you can leave. You've got the option to go and play in the south of France. You know, that's a draw. It's between them and, you know, Salford or Wakefield or whatever. You know, you're probably going to think, I think I'll know where it'll go. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It really is. And I agree with Paul, by the way. I think there's going to be, I know we can talk about this in a couple of weeks when the season comes round, but I think there'll be 1 or 2 teams that might surprise us in the opposite way this year and struggle. Who've had relative success over the last few years. I think they may trip up this year.
Which is all the fun and the fair when it comes to Super League. You've got to be switched on for 80 minutes every week to get the result. Paul, talking about fixtures and results, we've got 2 friendlies since we've last been on announced. We've got Halifax away on the 21st of Jan, and then we got Warrington away for Lidl Mossup's Testimonial on the 4th of February. So 2 good away trips there. Good 2 tests for the players.
I thought Halifax was at home.
It's away, isn't it? Is it away? I've got it as way.
No, I think it's at home. No, I
I
think
thought
it's the AJ Bell, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, the Warrington one's away. Lee Mossup's Testimonial. Because I couldn't get my head round that. I thought Lee Mossup's having a testimonial, but it's away.
Yeah.
He's never played for Warrington.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're right. Home.
Yeah,
it's an home game.
And
Yeah,
home.
Looking forward to that. I hope the Halifax game's for the Colin Dixon Memorial Trophy, because that adds a bit onto it, because we played him a few years ago away from home, didn't we, in a pre-season game, and his son Paul Dixon was there to give the trophy out, so that'd be nice to see. And that was a cold day as well. It was a cold place. Cold place to go. That like Thrumall, that was cold. But yeah, looking forward. I think it's great the way we've got Swinton, Halifax, and Warrington. You sort of moving your way up there, aren't you, through the gears? I think that's a good idea. I mean, you'll talk about the Swinton game shortly. I'm hoping, and I think we'll play a strong side against Swinton at the weekend, because I think you've got to do now. I think the players will be getting towards full fitness now, and they need that match sharpness as well. So yeah, three good matches there, Rob.
Yeah, Paul King on Twitter Park, he mentioned that we had a behind closed door friendly kind of game against the London Broncos. He thought he just hoped the pizza tasted nice for them on the way home after 8 hours journey. But I think I would think that works out. Obviously, with previous pre-seasons, we've kind of like train loads, then play 3 games to get into it. But now we're kind of playing games behind closed doors. Do you think that how do you think that affects the players?
I think we did one a couple of years ago, didn't we? I think I don't fully remember who we played, but we had a sort of half contact game or whatever it was against somebody, and it's obviously something they need to do to build up rather than going into full contact. After having, it seems like a long time since our last game. A lot of these players would have missed the end of the season through injuries or maybe had surgery in the off season. It's a good way of building up, and like Paul said, we go from a partial contact game where there's no conversions, there's nothing like that, to the Swinton game, which is obviously a step up there, and then Halifax, another step up with a good team. Halifax, well coached, they looked all right at times last year, and then Warrington. I know it's a testimonial, but it won't be a friendly. It never is, and being away, so it's a great test. It's a great way to step up for the season, providing you avoid injuries. And the Halifax game, I've always had a bit of a thing for Halifax. I think that game you were mentioning at Halifax a few years ago, I think that was my 40th birthday or something like that. It's a great place to spend your 40th, a freezing cold day in Halifax. But yeah, and it's good to see them getting a little bit stronger as well, because that great rugby league area in Halifax, a proper club, as you'd say. So yeah, each one's going to be a big step up, and obviously starting on Saturday against a team and a group of supporters that don't particularly like us.
I remember Halifax. There's the pub called the Railway. Proper mint karaoke in there. That was amazing back in the glory days. Paul.
It's always a good place to go. Like we said before, Thrumall was always a nice place to go, and the Shea as they play at now. I remember when we first started going there, every time you went, it was like, when are they building that stand? Yeah. It never seems to get finished. It just looked like a building site. But no, I've got a bit of time for Halifax. I like them as a club. Good supporters there. Proper rugby league sort of town as well. I know it's over the hill in Yorkshire, but no, it's always a good trip. So, but nice to get them over here at the AJ Bell Stadium. And as Park said, there's never friendly game when we play Warrington. Is there not over the last sort of in the Super League year anyway? I think they've become one of our rivals, really, haven't they? Probably took over from Swinton, really, as Swinton have gone down the tube a bit and got relegated from the top flight. Then Warrington took over in the summer area from that rivalry with them, I think. So that'll be a cracking game. That. And, looking at the squads and teams for this season, and you probably have to say Warrington the bookies have got them as one of the favourites, haven't they? I mean, they always seem to be, but they've spent a bit of money. They've got a new coach as well with Darryl Powell there, and he'll be looking to try and change the culture is the right word, but there's a lot of expectation on them this season, as there always, and slightly a bit more, I think, with the Powell factor. So looking forward to that. Should be a good game.
That stand in Halifax, Parky, is like that Spanish cathedral never gets built.
Yeah, they have made a bit of progress, haven't they? But it's still not there. God bless them. But no, it's strange, isn't it? Like Paul's, I was just thinking about it. You're right. The first time we went to, about 5-10 years later, it was still exactly the same.
Yeah.
What's happened here? But no, it's like you say about the Warrington game as well. I know it's Lee Mossop's testimonial, and sadly, obviously, Lee probably won't be taking any part in it. That's a bit of a shame, but. It's always a big game. That I'm still a little bit confused as to why it's away, but that's maybe they'll make more money that way. I don't fully know, but that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. He's come round. It seems like I said, a bit of big gap, but now they're all there, and he's one after the other, and before you know it, the season kicks off.
Yeah. Other news. Keep your eye out for the fan app. That's coming soon, produced by Block Sport. Lots of interaction planned on it, which will be exciting. Paul?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I don't know why you asked me about it.
Yeah, technical.
It sounds good to me. You know me, I'm not like great with apps and computers and things like that. I can just about work this iPad. But no, sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, a lot of I say the younger generation, I'm nearly 40 now, same as you. So a lot of the younger people like all that sort of thing, don't they? So yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, and there's also kind of maybe possibility of fan tokens, which is a bit like Bitcoin, but in the own environment of sort of the technical environment of Salford Red Devils, that you can sort of buy merchandise and stuff using these tokens, possibly further down the line. Parker?
That's, again, Bitcoin is something that I'm not involved in, and that kind of thing. But I understand. I kind of get the idea. I did read something. It was about a month ago, wasn't it, when it was first mentioned about it being sort of groundbreaking in many ways, certainly in rugby league terms. The interaction of it, fans getting to vote on things and have their say, because I think it's very difficult to do these days with. I helped run a forum way back when. I don't know if you all remember it. People say things, and it's your neck on the line when they come out with these, libel comments or whatever. And we lost that. We lost that sort of communication with each other. And then, the club tried one, I remember, and that obviously got taken down. And we missed that. And I think at the moment, with the way things are, at the AJ Bell and before, if we do move or whatever, I think that maybe that connection between us and the club, and that could be it. That can be the conduit, the app itself can be the way that we can express to the club, or they can, get their message direct to us, because you can try it on Twitter and Facebook and other things, but a lot of people don't use them, or don't, or you can be on there but not see it, or whatever. Whereas I think you would purposely be on that app for that reason, or they can contact you and let you know what's going on. I think, it's something that needs to happen. It's easy having a website. If you're not interested in reading it, you're not going to. So hopefully we'll see how it works. But it did sound quite interesting.
Yeah, exciting time. So keep your eyes open for that. Sponsor a try. Parquet back. Supporters Trust doing a fantastic job. And if you fancy getting involved, contact them. 50p or £1 every time it's Salford score, raising money for the academy and other things.
Yeah, I've had my card marked that I haven't signed up for my membership for the Supporters Trust yet. Somebody did prompt me. I will be getting around to it. I'll probably do it on Saturday if somebody's about. Sponsor a try. I'm always a bit worried, mate. what if we have a freak season and score 10 tries every week? I'd be bankrupt. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, no, another great thing. I know they raised good money, and then it came out, didn't it, at the awards at the end of the season? Didn't they raise like 20 odd grand again this year?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's money going into the club that, well, it's not there to start with, but that's a lot of money, you know, to raise. And it was obviously last year being more difficult than any other because you couldn't have events really because there was nowhere to go. So hopefully we can, you know, they can get back on the feet and have a proper go at it this year. And who knows, you know, I mean, giving over 20 odd grand to the club, Paul King must be, or, you know, the foundation or whoever gets that money, it must be so delighted. It must be like a weight being lifted sometimes, knowing that money could be there for them. So yeah, we've all got to get involved, and hopefully, you know, I will be getting my membership. So I'm sorry about that. But you know, throughout the season, they'll be doing events and everything else, and obviously, Sponsor the Try is just one of them.
Yeah, it raised $3.5 grand last year, Paul, and it helped the reserve / pathways. It's 50p or £1 this time round, and you could win tickets for the 1873 club to watch home games. Obviously, if you're interested in that, contact Shirley on 07817 904 217 or contact the Supporters Trust Twitter, and they'll organise it for you.
Yeah, just thinking then about that Sponsor Try. Imagine if you were at the Cast game last season away from home, you were doing that, you'd be sweating, wouldn't you? All the tries you were scoring there after try.
No more. Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit as well, I need to sign up for the Supporters Trust. I've not rejoined again, so I'll do mine on Saturday as well if I see them floating about, because I need to do my tenner. It's a tenner, isn't it, your yearly membership? So yeah, I'm a culprit as well. I've not signed up yet as well. You say you're going to do these things, and sometimes you just think they slip my mind. I just blame it on work. I'm always dead busy.
Letting everybody know. So, other news, new signing, Parker, Tim Lafay. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember Tim probably 5-6 years back at the Bulldogs. He was a real threat, a real player. You know, he had a big rap on him over in the NRL. Obviously, time's got he's 30 now, isn't he? And he's had time in a sort of lower grade, but he's still been involved at Kentbury. He's still their player up till last year, I think. I think it's a great signing. I can't believe he was available and just there to be, you know, snapped up. It seems bizarre because he's as soon as I read his name, I was like, the Tim Lafay. You know, and for us, especially at the start of the season, obviously Sarge has got the 3-match ban, which I don't know if these friendlies will cover that. Could be good planning. But Callum Watkins will probably be still missing. Harvey Levett, who covered at centre, has just had surgery. So we'd be down to Matty Costello on his own. You know, we're not going with one centre. I don't care how brave we are. So he's going to come in and bring vast experience and professionalism, I would have thought. He seems that kind of guy. I've watched a few interviews with him, actually, in the off-season from what he's done over the years. A real grounded guy, came from absolutely nothing. Didn't have a ball when he was a kid back in Fiji. He didn't know anything about rugby league. They played sort of a rugby union style, but with like an empty Coke bottle, and that he came through nothing, and then made it to the top in the NRL. So he's got that, obviously, that hunger, but he knows how to pass that on, I would have thought. I think it's a really, really clever signing. And then I spoke to my contact in Sydney, and he said at the same time he was a bit surprised that he drifted a little bit away from out of the game, because obviously a few years ago he was a a big name. And so yeah, it's another good sign in a key area for us. More support, more backup, and I think over the next year or so he'll bulk up it a little bit as well, more, because he's a big lad. Probably end up in the back row somewhere. But great to pick up a player like that with that experience, just out of the blue. No, a bit like, you know, when we got Mark Sneyd sort of thing. Nobody expected it. We didn't know we were looking. But more good work by obviously Bleasy and whoever else behind the scenes.
Opportunity Club gives player opportunity, Paul.
Opportunity knocks, yeah. Just going back to what Pag said there about that Tim Lafay. I mean, I don't know a great deal about him, but when I have seen him play, he looks a solid player. one of those players who's going to do the little things, like the tough stuff in defence and things like that. And, you can have champagne Charlies, can't you, and people like that. But if you want to win matches, and especially for a club like us, you need blokes to come over and do the business, do those hard things for you. I mean, you look at Chris Wellham when we signed him, a lot of people sort of said, well, he's just that and the other. But I think there's an awful lot to be said for solid players. And I'm not just saying he's just a solid player. I think he's got an awful lot of skill as well. But I think you get guys that are going to do the tough stuff, do the defensive work and that. And then, like you said, he could move to the back row and things like that. I was very impressed with that signing. I think that's another quality player to add to the list of quality players we've got. And just looking at the other players that have come in, I think this Shane Wright, I think, he's going to be a good player. He's just going to be a workhorse and someone who's going to do the hard stuff. And you look at that back row there with him, you can have Elijah Taylor in there, possibly Harvey Levette as well. The squad looks really, really good to me. I mean, an awful lot's going to hinge on the halfbacks, Croft and Sneyd. If they can gel together, you've got Chris Atkin there as well. I'm doing him a disservice leaving him out. You've got three good players there, and if they can gel and work together, and Ryan Brierley could be like a master stroke as well with his support play. So I'm really looking forward to this season. I think we can really do something.
Yeah, competition all over the field, Parkin. That's the important thing that sort of drives teams on and clubs on.
Yeah, very much so. My only real concern is perhaps lack of size and perhaps depth in the pack at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen. There's still a month or so to go before the season starts. There could be somebody out there, and obviously financially we're not blessed. So you go with what we've got. I don't think we've any problem back rows. I think that's absolutely fine. I think we've got that many. Paul just mentioned 3 or 4 there. You've got Ryan Lannon as well, and Sam Luckley can go in the back row, and Greenwood, people like that. We've got back rowers coming out of our ears. I think probably a little bit short up in the propping department, thus seeing Greg Burke getting the number 10 squad shirt, which, I love Greg to bits, don't get me wrong. He's another one of them proper solid players who you'd have in your team every week, but not a starting prop forward for me, I don't think. But other than that, I mean, you look around the team, the wings, we've got 4 decent wingers. We've probably got 2 fullbacks. We've got 3-4 halfbacks if needed. Centres again, 4 or 5 of them now. All over. We covered 2 hookers. We've brought in obviously Amir Borough from Wigan, who hopefully we'll see develop now. And under Paul Rowley, a hooker himself. Sure, the advice is there. So we are covered all over. It's just a little bit in the size, but I don't know who's going to talk about this in a couple of weeks. But one of the keys for me will be, like Paul said, in the halfbacks. If that clicks, I don't think it's much better in Super League. I really don't. I mean, Brodie Croft for me is a player that people have been saying to me, he's not really done anything for 2 years. He played in a team that's done nothing for 2 years. And if your forwards aren't doing things or anything like that, you're not going to shine. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. It just doesn't work like that. But I think Mark Sneyd's kicking game will be massive, because if we're not going to be making huge meters going forward, because perhaps a lack of size. I know we've got Akawala and King, yes, him, who will go forward. I do know his name, and obviously it's just got on my head. Anyway, we're going to have to turn teams around with kicks and get them down that end of the pitch. And Mark Sneyd, well, is there anyone better in Super League at kicking a ball? Probably not. So, I'm really keen. I'd like a little bit more. I'm sure Paul Rowley would, but overall, the balance of the squad looks pretty good. Certainly very mobile, and like Paul said before, I'm not overly worried about us. I mean, you can easily say that you get 2 or 3 injuries, you lose your key players, and anything can happen. We mentioned COVID before, and that, but as it stands right now, I think that's a pretty decent squad, and our back line, if you got the strongest one out there, is virtually as good as anything in Super League.
So much to look forward to in 2022. So that's all the news. We're going to talk about our first friendly against Swinton on Saturday.
It's time for the Devil of the Details Big Match Review.
Devils face Swinton Lions on Saturday, Paul. History will be made as Salford Red Devils will field the women's side against the Swinton Lions women's side as a sort of a curtain raiser for the friendly. Exciting times for the club, exciting times for the ladies, and hopefully we'll see them develop as the season goes on.
Yeah, certainly, and it's what sort of a game's that to play against the old enemy in Swinton, for the ladies. So a big derby match to play in. So it's going to be great, double header, and I'm sure people will turn up as well. We normally get a good crowd when we play Swinton. I'm sure they'll bring, their usual band of followers that they bring along with them, making plenty of noise. So looking forward to it. Really, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's always great when we play Swinton. It really is. I mean, it's a shame we can't play them away from home. Not playing them in a friendly away from home for a while. It always seems a bit Salford, doesn't it? But no, looking forward to it. I mean, they've recruited, haven't they? They've made some decent recruitment. They've got a new coach in Alan Coleman as well to go from Stuart last season. And I think they're one of the, I don't want to say favourites, but they'll be expected to challenge, won't they, for promotion in League One this season. So yeah, they'll be throwing everything at us on Saturday, I'm sure. I'm sure there'll be a few fisticuffs there normally isn't there, and plenty of passion on show in that sort of game. So looking forward to seeing how the new players go. I think there's opportunity for guys, to stake a claim, isn't there? Perhaps players who aren't going to be first on the team sheet. In these friendly games now, you've got to impress, haven't you, and play well. And like Parker was saying before, you're just going back about the squad. I'm a bit concerned about the front row. I think we are a couple of props short for me. Losing Lee Mossop, he's not going to be there this season. I think Sebastian Ifico going back to Huddersfield, he was another big man in that front row. We've got Jack Orman right there, who I thought impressed me last season. If he can progress again, I think Sam Luckley's another one. This big season for Sam, I think now. He gained his sort of apprenticeship at Super League last season. I think for me, if I was Paul Rowley, I'd bang him in against Swinton and give him a go, and say to him, sort of, you show me now what how you've developed and stake a place for that Cast game. So that's what I do if I was Paul Rowley. I'd be using these games as a trial now for that Cast match. So you impress me in these 3 games, you've got a starting jersey for the game at Weldon Road. So that's how you've got to approach the games. They're not friendlies. They're pre-season games, aren't they? And you've got to work and do the business.
Yeah, real community event. Parky, obviously the women's game is growing all the time, and it'll give them a spotlight, the ladies, to perform, and it's going to help everybody going forward.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It really is. I know when we heard it mentioned probably before we did the last podcast, maybe a little bit before, that we're going to get this team and put it together. It seems to have happened really quickly. But I saw bits on Twitter and on the club's website about how many girls turned up, ladies turned up. And it was so encouraging that, I think on the first training session, the numbers were huge, and, they have cut back to get a squad together. And I believe there's some real talent in there. And it's really good to see. I think Swinton have had a ladies team for a while, haven't they, as well? So It's a good test to come up against what you consider an established team. I know the Folly Lane ladies have been around for a long time, so I'm sure many of them are in the Swinton squad or whatever. So it'd be really interesting to see. Yeah, it's a great step forward. Another way that the club have now, we've changed massively. I mean, from the Kukash era where it seemed that only the first team mattered, we scrapped an academy and everything else went. Now we're trying to get everything back. We want the disability team. We want the reserves. We want an academy that we've tried so hard to get back together. We've got the ladies now. This is what this club should be about now. It should get us all together, and it'll be good to see what how they progress. Because I mean, I don't know if you lads have seen the ladies Super League. I've seen a couple of games of it, and I watched the internationals, and I watched the grand final last year, Saints and Leeds, and it's really it's really impressive, it really is, and I think we all know from having our own other halves that the ladies don't hold back.
No,
let's be honest. When they're not in a good mood, they do not hold back. So again, you talk about fisticuffs in the men's game. Like just watch out. I think it might get a bit fiery, especially with some of them making the debuts and that kind of thing. But the ladies' game will be good, and then obviously we move on to the main event, I suppose, in many ways. Not to do anybody down, but yeah, it's Swinton, and to to a lot of people of a certain generation, it means a lot more than it does to perhaps those of maybe millennials, shall we say. I don't think they'll never seen Swinton compete, and certainly not with us, really. But I remember going back, my first sort of memories were the early 80s against Swinton, and yeah, they were good games. They were, we were close together for many years, first probably 10, 15 years of me watching the game. Us and Swinton, we weren't far apart, and then, Station Road went, which we got the blame for, and they had to move about, that we got the blame for. They couldn't play the Willows, which we got the blame for. I'm not sure they've ever forgiven us for anything that we didn't actually do wrong, but there you go. But yeah, so it's always good. There's always a bit of banter in the crowd as well, which is good. Like Paul said, they'll bring a few down with them, and there'll be a laugh, I'm sure. But it's good. Yeah, I mean, I'd love Swinton to be on an even keel with us. I really would. I think it'd be fantastic for the game in the area, and like it was back then, a real rivalry, a real, a bitterness, if you like, which is obviously gone out of the game when you start putting 50s and 60s on a team. It's not quite the same, but still very pleasant for me. So yeah, I'll look forward to it, and just hope we come through unscathed.
Give us your score prediction, Paul.
Usually always quite similar, aren't they, to be honest with you? Last time we played him in that Trains Cup, they're usually 50 or 16 or something, aren't they? I'm going to go a bit closer.
All right. We'll give it a prediction for both. We'll start with the ladies first.
Right, I'll start with the ladies. Yeah, well, that's a difficult one. Like Parker said, Swinton's had a side last season. I don't know how long their team's been going for, but I know they had a ladies team last year. I'm sure they did. So yeah, they're going to be quite established, aren't they? That's going to be tough. I'm going to go a close game. I think it's going to rain as well. So I can't back Swinton. I'm not going to do that. So, right. So I'm going to go for a close win for the ladies, 12-10.
12-10.
It's a Salford, yeah. And I'll go for the men's. I'll go Salford 40, Swinton 10.
40-10.
And that's been...
Okay, Parker, give us your prediction for the ladies first.
I think we're in for a classic.
Yep.
If it's allowed to, I'm not sure what the rules are going to be, but I'm going to go for a draw.
Oh.
I'm going to go 16-all.
Right.
So hopefully don't have to go to Golden Point and just shake hands and off you go, because there will be a time limit on how long they can play, obviously, because the main game is coming on afterwards. So I'll settle for that, a 16-all draw.
He has to do that because he's been he stuck the boot in there for Swinton. But we're going to go into 16-all draw.
Yeah, we'll settle for that. And as for the men, I'd go 58-10.
58-10.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ladies to win 30-16 and men to win 62-18.
Yeah, I admire your confidence, Rob. There always seems to be loads of points. That was like a cricket score. Should we score in the Ashes?
Yeah. Because I think what it is, they start off like a house on fire, don't they? For like 40 minutes, get like 40 in front, and then just start rotating. Which I don't know if that's a good idea, really, that Parky. What do you think? Is it worth rotating, or do you think you just get into like a rhythm of just sort of going over and over and over and over again? Does that help further down the line?
I think for the first friendly, I think you have to. I mean, you don't want to put any strain on players, playing them too long, putting them through anything. You want to work on patterns and that kind of thing, but I think rotation is pretty good. The thing is, we don't even know who's available.
No. Yeah.
We know 3 or 4 players won't be because of suspension or injury or whatever else. When you've only got, what have we got? Have we got 26, 20? I don't know how many players we've got in the squad. You take 4 or 5 out, you don't know if anybody's suffering with COVID or anything can happen in the next couple of days. We might only have 22 players or something like that. So a case of rotating it might be irrelevant, might not be able to too much. But then you have got, does he want to start with his besides those that are suspended, do you want to start with your main team? And if so, then you've got to give the other guys a chance. You know, if Escaray's not going to be a fullback, he's going to have to play. You know, you're going to bring him in. Reece Williams going to need a stretch. You know, all the forwards we've got. You know, Josh Johnson, people like that who we not mentioned. He's going to have to get a. You know, so I think you do have to rotate everybody initially, and then I think as you get to the next friendly, you try and keep as much as you can, and then obviously the last one, you can either go all out or you can do what Carl Harrison did and just fling everything out the window, and confuse everybody, and then go into the first game and win that. So yeah, I think you'd have to rotate. You don't want the lads won't be match fit anywhere near match fit, and you don't want to take too much out of them straight away. Conditions again, like Paul said, it might be a bit wet, and you know, just don't risk it. If you want to, you want to give players 10 minutes apiece and roll them on, roll them off. If you can do that, obviously try and win the game. That's the main thing out of it. But yeah, just working on a few patterns maybe for half an hour, and then change everything, and then just keep, that I think that might be the way forward.
Yeah, look forward to it. That's the end of this week's podcast. Paul, good to be back in the old routine.
Yeah, I've enjoyed. I can't remember the last time I did a podcast. I was thinking today. It's a long while ago. Good few months ago now. So because I think I missed a couple as well. So yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back, and let's just hope on Saturday, mate. I know the results. You want to beat Swinton, but for me, let's just hope we get through without any injuries and things like that, because that's the worst case scenario with sort of pre-season games, isn't it? So yeah, I settle for an 8-6 or 10-8 as long as we don't get any big injuries and that, and enjoy the day, and hope good luck to the ladies as well on the debut. Yeah,
been a great show, Parky, talking all things Salford.
Yeah, great to be back. It's the start of a new year now, and we start ramping it up for the season like the players will. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so big thanks for tuning into this week's Devil in Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. Good luck to the ladies on Saturday, and we'll see you next week for more Salford Devils chat.